So my name is Omer, and I would like to start by asking you a question, which you probably saw that. Which one of the designs converts better? Now take a moment to think about it, and I will reveal the answer later in the presentation. But my point over here is to say that there are maybe 200 opinions over here, but you cannot really know what actually converts better unless you have a significant data to actually make a decision. And that's my presentation for today. Can you, next slide. So I'm going to talk about how data-driven culture actually helped us as a company to be more successful and much more focused as a startup. So my name is Omer. I'm the COO and the co-founder for Bookaway Group. And I will start by telling you what we are and what we are doing. Next slide. So we are operating in the travel market. We are actually working in the last unresolved vertical in the travel market, which is the grounded sea transportation. We have flights where 30 years ago it was digitized, and it's really something that it's easy to book online. Also goes through hotels, Expedia and Booking.com. All of these companies came 20 years ago and actually digitized all of the supply. So now it's really easy to book it online. It's something which is a commodity. But the last piece on the travel, which is the grounded sea transportation, this is something which is really, really hard to book it online. Actually, 90% of the transportation is being booked offline, in the kiosk, in the piers, in the stations, in the street. And it's really, really hard to get it right in the first time. Next slide. So, and it's also part of the problem that there is no reliable data out there. There's no reliable information. You are going to book a 9 hours drive, a trip in Philippines, in Vietnam, and you have no idea what you are booking, whether you are getting a chicken bus or a high-tech bus. There is zero information. And that's next slide. Now, what we did is we developed a platform that on one hand connect to multiple operators, more than 7,000 operators worldwide. And on the other end, we have a B2C platform, a website, a mobile app, or an API for B2B partners, where any one of the end consumers, the travelers, can book it seamlessly online. And that's what we did. Next slide. Now, as a VC-backed company, we grew up. We started in 2017. We raised money, seed round, A round, and we grew up as a startup, 300% year over year. Everything was great. And like Morten said at the beginning, COVID came. And for the travel industry, this is a nightmare. The whole travel market went into a halt, a complete halt, and nothing worked. We actually, in a week, we lost all of our sales, no users in the websites, and we got into a crisis. At that point, what we had to do is we think about how we're going to survive as a company. So as a startup that grew up and invested, and actually it was March 2020, and we actually set our plan for the next year, and we recruited more people, and everything needed to stop. So we changed our budget, we changed our roadmap, we changed our focus, and we went into defense. Next slide. Now, this period also represents an opportunity. Now, what we did is we actually thought what we can do in order to survive. None of us knew how long it would take. So back in August, even before the vaccinations, we thought how we are going to get much stronger from this crisis. Next slide. So what we did is we went to a lot of investors and asked for a crazy idea back then. We were 30 people in Tel Aviv, no knowledge, no experience on doing that. But we came with a story that we want to become much, much stronger post-COVID. And we knew that travel will go back. So what we did is we initiate a roll-up strategy, which the idea of that is that you are combining many companies and to create a bigger company, a bigger value. So the sum of the company is a greater value than each one apart. And that's what we did. In 2021, at the beginning of 2021, we went and merged and acquired 4 different companies, lookalike of Bookaway. So the same thing what Bookaway did, we acquired 4 companies that are doing the same thing in different part of the area, in different part of the world. All of these companies had a fantastic business pre-COVID, but they came to COVID with a crisis, the same crisis where they are bleeding money, and they need to think also how they are going to survive. So this common vision and this common crisis actually bring us together. Next slide. Now, to date, we actually 350 employees spread in around 5 different headquarters around the world, in Tel Aviv, here in Split, in Bangkok, and in Buenos Aires. We are operating in more than 110 markets in the world, and we have more than 7,500 different operators, bus, ferry, and train operators, which are connected into our system. On the demand side, we have almost 9 million monthly active users in our platforms. And actually, every 3 seconds, a ticket is being sold in our platform. Now, we also recovered quite nicely from COVID, from the levels of 2019. We're actually experiencing the travel is booming. We are experiencing 200% in increase from pre-COVID levels. And this is despite that the travel industry is not in 100% even. I know Europe is, but if you look in different parts of the world, like Asia, like Latin America, it's still below 2019. Next slide. So we merged with a few companies. One, of course, that was the initial company, which is Bookaway, which is a global brand for tourists, more focused on tourists. And we merged with GetByBus, that I hope that you all know, which is the leading OTA, online travel agency in the Balkans. We also acquired One2Go in APAC, Plataforma 10 in Latin America, and 2 other companies which really correlate to our strategy. One was self-developed and one was acquired. These companies actually, in order to digitize and to accelerate this strategy to digitize the supply and to bring them online, we actually acquired the companies that offer software to our operators. So we as a B2C company can connect to that and able to sell it online and with real-time results. Next slide. The reason why we merged with GetByBus, well, first of all, they were the biggest one and still is and still will be in all of this region, in the Balkans. Second thing, which is really important in the travel industry, and especially for a marketplace platform like we are, is that they have a really strong relationship with the suppliers, with the operators. Back in 2019, Bookaway really wanted to go to this region. Really, we sent people over there, and with no success. And this company will actually overcome this challenge, and they own the relationship with most of the operators in this region. The third thing, it was actually a really healthy company. So yeah, during COVID, maybe less, but pre-COVID, their numbers, their unit economics, their marketing spend, their efficiency, and the potential was fantastic. And the last thing, which may be the most important one, is it's a fantastic team. It's really skillful and capable team that we as Bookaway, we saw that we are sharing the same values, the same culture, and it was a no-brainer for us to become one team. Next slide. So that was the results. So now we are kind of experiencing a 10x growth in all areas. So what you are seeing over here is, this is us in terms of sales and what we are currently experiencing, but we also grew in all other aspects. We grew 10x in number of employees, 10x in number of operators, 10x in number of users, and that brings a lot of challenges. And I think one of the reasons that really help us to stay focused as a company, as a group of companies, is using data culture in our day-to-day. Next slide. Now I know it's a bit cliche, but we really believe in this sentence, that without data, you are just another person with an opinion. And this is something that we believe in from day one as a company, that you need to bring data in order to make a decision. Otherwise, it's only gut feeling and you can just gamble. Next slide. So it's all start with the strategy. So what you can see over here is the Bookaway flywheel. And the idea behind the flywheel is what are the pillars that you need to invest in order to grow as a company. So once you invest, and so the whole idea behind that is that once you invest in one of the pillars, that will drive more growth as a company. So if you are investing in customer experience, that brings better conversion. And if you are investing in conversion, you have more ability, you have more efficiency in marketing to bring more traffic. And if you have a large demand base, you can come to operators and say, come work with me, I have demand for you. And if you have more suppliers, that means that you have more offering to show to your clients, which brings on the customer experience. And that turns on the flywheel more and more and accelerate the growth. Next slide. Now, once you are becoming bigger and bigger and bigger company, so there is an extension for the flywheel, which means that once you are big, you have now influence on the suppliers to get better prices and rates. And then it goes back to customer experience. So this was the strategy, but the number one challenge as an e-commerce company is actually mapping the user journey. Next slide. So that's probably the most challenging thing as an e-commerce company, to actually calculate and map the entire user journey. So what you can see over here is a typical user journey of almost a typical user journey for any e-commerce company, not only Bookaway, it could be any one of the e-commerce platform that you may know. So it starts actually with maybe a marketing ad in Google Ads or Bing or any one of these kind of tools. And this is being tracked on these tools. And then you click on this and you go to the website. And then most of platforms have Google Analytics installed. So this is all of the user behavior is being tracked on the Google Analytics. And then maybe you're calling support. This is being tagged on Zendesk. And maybe you're also getting an email marketing as a shopping cart recovery or a cross-sell email. And that is being tracked on any one of the email marketing tools like ActiveCampaign. And hopefully you are coming to book, and this is being tracked on the pay gates. And most companies also doing retargeting marketing in order to get the user to come back to book it over and over and over. And this is being tracked on the social media. And like I said, you are hoping that the user will come and book over and over and over with you. Next slide. So the name of the game of e-commerce is actually how to calculate the customer acquisition cost, what it takes you actually to bring the customer, the user, to be a customer, to pay, versus what is the value that this customer is bringing, what is the revenue that he's bringing throughout his entire lifetime in the platform. So a successful company is where the LTV is bigger than the CAC. Actually, the most healthy ratio is when it's 3-to-1. So that means that on every dollar that you spent on the customer acquisition cost, you're actually earning $3 revenue. That's a successful company. If you are above it, that means that you are good, but you can be more efficient and gain more market share. If you are below it, that means you are taking risk to become not a profitable company. So that's the idea. Next slide. Now, what we did in order to face this challenge is we took all of the data types, the product data type, the IT, the transactional, the user behavioral, the support. We took all of this and we connected with one identifier so we can actually identify what is the user is doing with each one of the touch points. So we were able to ask any business question that we can think of across these data types. Like, if I will increase my servers, what it will impact the conversion because of I'm increasing the response time, and how this will affecting the marketing campaign on users from Thailand. So this is a really hard question to ask if you are not connecting all of these data types together. Next slide. So what we did is we took all of these tools, including the user behavioral, we implemented that in-house. And we put all of that into data warehouse. It could be we are using BigQuery, but there are there are more tools like that. And then we visualize that with dashboards. And again, it could be any one of these tools. It doesn't need to be Data Studio or ClickView or any one of these tools. But that was the idea. Now, we also use this kind of methodology in order to generate quick personalization features in our website. So we are using our internal BI in order to generate recommended and sorting algorithm and email marketing, which is more targeted. So if you are going to Chvar, I will offer you to go to Split, the next destination. All of this is based on data. So the idea behind all of this is how you are making decisions in your day-to-day. Next slide. So, you know, everyone is saying that they are a data culture company. It's a buzzword that everyone in the e-commerce, in the industry are saying. But if you really think about it, a data culture company is where you are making most of your decisions, your day-to-day decisions, based on data. Now, people are making decisions based on anything that could be any one of this evolution. You can throw a dice, so that's maybe luck. And if you are smarter, maybe you will ask an expert in the field or the wisdom of the crowd. And then if you are lucky, you will do a survey, and hopefully you will get to hundreds, maybe thousands of honest response. But the best way to actually get a result, an honest result, a significant result, is by doing a controlled experimentation, A/B testing. Now, actually, the average in the industry is that 9 out of 10 A/B tests that you will run in your platform will not generate any good results, will actually even get worse or the same without any effect. So that's actually emphasize how important it is to do A/B testing, because all of these 9 that failed, that was your gut feeling. That was your dice that you throw. And it doesn't really say that it doesn't really impact your business. But so next slide. So remember this question, and now we'll reveal the answer. Next slide, next slide. So this was the winner. GetByBus actually redesigned the website at the beginning of the year. And the result is that they generate 6.6 uplift in the conversion. Now think about a company that's doing $100 million revenue. And this kind of experiment, think about how your employees feel, where they know that what they did actually impact and generated $6 million more to the company. So it's a huge impact to the company that allow you to be much more focused as a company. Next one. Now, we are also using our data in order to be smarter with our marketing spend. So over here, what you can see in the table is how we look at LTV CAC, what I just explained, breaking down into a market. So we really know where we should spend our next dollar what is our next incremental revenue from the next incremental dollar that we will spend on the marketing. And that makes us much more efficient and much more focusing on the marketing. Next slide. We also use it as a travel company to measure the demand versus the supply. So this is a typical operator view of the availability for a certain week. And what you can see for over here is an example of when it's red, it means that there are much more demand than the availability, the number of seats we have on the bus. And this is the immediately call to action to our marketing or to our supply biz dev team in order to change this. And it's very insightful and very actionable. Next slide. So the whole idea behind data culture is that there are a lot of benefits. The first one is, I guess the most obvious one, is focus. So as a small startup where you are limited with resources, you really need to choose where you are putting your effort. And this is something, and data really help you to understand that. It also kills all of the meta conversation you have in your company. So as a startup, there are many people, very smart people with a lot of opinions, and each one are saying, I have a feeling, I have a gut feeling, I think so. All of this is off the table. Come with data. The next thing is, before. It also creates one language. So it brings everyone apart. Everyone knows what are the KPIs, what is the North Star, what is the goals. So it brings everyone together, so it helps to engage the employees. The next one is that It's helping you to make faster decisions because data is bringing on a real-time basis. And it helps you to identify business opportunity and have better focusing. So as a startup, you really need to understand to reserve your resources for the next challenge as a startup. So that really helps you to understand that. Next slide. So there are a lot of things that's saying around how to do it from the beginning as a startup. Should I invest in that? So they are saying that, yeah, I need to invest a lot of budget on that, or I need to have a dedicated team to that, or I need to invest a lot of time with that. Next slide. So I'm here to say our experience as a company, and we are not the smartest people in the world, but what we did is we actually decided that we want data from day one. And our experience is that we took us only a budget of $100 a month to invest in that. And only one person that actually was dedicated for that knew SQL, and another person that actually knew what are the business questions you need to ask as a company. And it took us 1 month's development in order to put the infrastructure. So from that point, you can actually ask any business question, and there is another 5 minutes implementation. If it's missing, you can get an answer. So that was the idea. So I'm actually here to tell you, next slide, is that you can become a data-driven company today. Thank you very much.